they'll speak a plagiarized prophecy or vision and say that they had it themselves. They mimic Christians, they copy them, they imitate them. And eventually what they'll do is they're just so obnoxious that they usually end up just destroying the whole spirit of a board. Any place that Christians gather, forum boards or chat rooms, because of their arrogance and obnoxiousness, and they're really easy to detect once you've dealt with them a couple of times, because they always have to be the most powerful one. There's no team with them. It's all about themselves. When I had a prophecy, I had a vision, or they're not good enough to be a prophet or a watchman. They always have to be something else, some secret rank, some special calling that the Lord has supposedly given them for the last days. It's part of their tactics. And then you'll see this stuff go on, and what they'll do is they'll dominate and draw the attention to themselves. And, there's no I in the Lord's army. We work as a team. We exalt Him. We don't exalt ourselves. We exalt the Lord in everything we do. And that's why it's so easy to target these self-egotistical ones that come in. A lot of times they can just be pawns that are being used. They've been chip implanted, and so they can be easily controlled and used by the aliens and UFOs. That anybody with a chip implant can be controlled from afar, from a UFO or from a push-button room by satellites, such as NORAD, because you'll hear voices speaking to you, and you'll think that, the Lord's talking to me, and you start channeling information that you're hearing, and it's not from the Lord. That's why it's so important to learn the Lord's small voice compared to these channeled voices that will give you an earful about coming events. They love to write, and they never just write a paragraph. These things love to talk, and so they'll have people that are channeling their info, writing down all of their information. And I have some of the channeled info on my website. In my article on alien deception in the last days, at the very end of it, I have 3 different links from channeled info. One of them is from the Ashtar Command. Another one is from the Pleiadians. And then another one is from Elizabeth Clare Prophet. So I wanted you to see a different variety there of information. And when it's their own people, when it's their own pawns, they already buy their garbage, they'll go ahead and say who they are and identify themselves, such as they did from Athena, from the Ashtar Command, and then the other one from the Pleiadians. They go ahead and give you your names, but when they're playing Christians, and when they're speaking through Christians, and Christians think that it's from God, then they don't identify themselves. But what you'll notice is that a lot of the garbage that the Zeta Talk site and a lot of these alien sites are giving in regards to things that are coming is the same stuff a lot of preachers are falling into lately. They're falling into this deception where they're preaching alien dogma and alien theology and saying it's of the Lord. So use discernment, folks. Use discernment, because the Bible stands. The Bible may have been mistranslated, and there may have been things added to it or cut out, but the message stays the same. The message of salvation and forgiveness and end times prophecies, these messages have never changed. The main message stays the same.
You have a caller, Sherry.
What's that?
You have a caller.
Okay. I don't have much time, but go ahead and put them in.
You're up, caller.
Okay, hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm fine. I saw your website, and I was wondering about the Bible code interpretations. Are you a scholar of the Jewish language or alphabet?
I've learned it. I've learned it over the years. It's not a scholar as in Hebrew scholar going to school learning it now.
It would seem to be that would be a very daring undertaking to take if you weren't very familiar with it. That was my initial reaction to it.
Well, not really. Not if it's something that the Lord leads you into to do.
Okay.
Where the Lord leads, He guides, He lights the way.
Do you hear His voice? How do you relate to Him? I notice that you often say that you hear from Him.
Well, the Lord has a still small voice that speaks to your spirit.
Okay.
And once you recognize his voice, now then you can distinguish between the other noises or voices that are speaking to you and what the Lord's is. You know, the Lord's told me He has stood me up to be His voice in these last days to speak for Him.
Okay.
And so you have to learn how to hear His voice.
All right, thanks for your time.
Okay, well, thanks for calling in.
Bye.
I got about 3 minutes left if somebody wants to push it with a fast phone call. Otherwise, what we're going to do is take a 5-minute break. We're going to come back in about 5 minutes for the second hour of the show. Steve, you want to go ahead and take that now?
Ready whenever you are.
Okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back for the second hour of the show. So I'll see you in about 5 minutes, folks.
Do you know where the 78 potentially active volcanoes in the U.S. are located? And do you know the locations of the top 300 prime terrorist targets? You can find these answers and more in the new interactive CD book, Prudent Places USA. With the more than 50 interactive parameters, you can pinpoint natural and man-made disaster areas, brewing environmental catastrophes, the safest cities, the best places for solar and wind energy, and much, much more. Complete with 3 gigabytes of detailed information on each of 3,000 plus counties in the U.S., including 550 high-resolution full-color maps and full-color photographs, as well as detailed information and analysis to help you zero in on the best places to live, the ideal location for cabins and vacation homes, as well as safe and unsafe areas. Get Prudent Places USA for only $29 plus shipping by calling New Millennium at 888-803-4438. That's 888-803-4438 to order on the web or at berkeywater.com. Now you can enjoy the most delicious, freshest, and healthiest drinking water anytime, even while traveling, during outdoor sporting activities, and in hospital filtration environments such as local or national emergencies. The revolutionary Berkey Light removes pathogenic bacteria, cysts, parasites, and harmful or unwanted chemicals to below detectable levels. It also removes foul tastes and odors like that rotten egg smell of sulfide, and it reduces nitrates and unhealthy minerals like lead and mercury while leaving in the healthful and nutritional minerals your body needs. The Berkey Light is so powerful it can purify raw, untreated water from remote lakes, streams, and stagnant ponds. The Berkey Light is transparent and glows in the dark with its rechargeable LED lighting system, so it can be used as a night light or camp light. Get the Berkey Light for only $259 by calling New Millennium at 888-803-4438. That's toll-free, 888-803-4438, or order on the web at berkeywater.com. Not yet available in Iowa.
Hi, I'm Steve Quayle for Renaissance Precious Metals. Of all the investments that have stood the test of time, gold and silver are the ultimate store of value and still the commodity of last resort. As you notice the American dollar fighting with the euro for the world reserve status currency, it should be a heads up to acquire your precious metals now while you still can. I've been in the precious metals business for over 25 years, and I can tell you that everything goes through cycles. Ask yourself, why are China, India, Russia, Japan, the Middle East purchasing more precious metals than ever? I'll tell you why, and that's because they see the handwriting on the wall and are trading paper money for real asset value commodities such as gold and silver bullion. Give me a call at 406-586-4840. That's 406-586-4840, and I'll strategically position you out of harm's way, helping you to become a financial victor as opposed to a paper victim. The big earthquakes are starting. Make sure you're out of harm's way when the financial shock waves of this century hits. Again, call me Steve at 406-586-4840, and I'll help you get out of financial harm's way. Hi, this is Steve for Radio Labs. Perhaps the biggest bang for your buck in shortwave receivers is the new KA1102, the Kato. Numerous reviews state that the Kato 1102 is the best value in a shortwave portable receiver. Radio Labs has never offered a lower cost radio on the market that includes single sideband as